Hi, I'm Phil Town for Rule 1 Investing. Let's talk this time about an emergency fund. Now, an emergency fund is the money you can live on when it hits the fan, right? So you get canned, you have a problem in the family, you guys, something where you lose your job and you just don't have cash flow, you go to your emergency fund. And I think every reasonable financial advisor out there is going to strongly urge you to have liquid assets you can get your hands on if you need to in an emergency, so that you're not pressed to pack it up and head for your parents' house and move into the basement. This allows you to go get another job because it gives you enough time, it buys you enough time to fight through this emergency. So everybody needs one of these things. You should have one, absolutely. And the question is sort of, how do you calculate how big an emergency fund you're really going to need? Well, take all of your expenses that you're paying right now, add them all up, get rid of the ones that are unnecessary, right? You take out everything out of there that you're spending on going to restaurants at night, you're going to recreational things, take all the gifts out, take all the travel out, take out everything that isn't absolutely necessary. And what you've got left is going to be your mortgage or your rent, your insurance policy premiums, your health and premium, you've got food, you've got a car payment. Those are the very basic, boil it all down to, okay, we're going to sit here and watch TV for the next 6 months, and you figure out what that number is and then go out 6 months worth, and that's how big your emergency fund has to be. That's the minimum amount. Now, if you can get more into it than that, that's good because it won't be such a nasty 6 months. So how does this relate to Rule 1 investing, getting this emergency fund put together? Well, the main thing is that the emergency fund allows you to put money away into investments that is not in the emergency fund and can be put in these investments and not touched. And that's critical to really good Rule 1 investing. Because think about it like where I'm sitting as a fund manager. If I put money in, let's say I buy AIG or Citibank when they're just crashing after 2009. So they're just a disaster, and the federal government has to come in and support these guys. And now I look at them and I say, okay, they're going to survive. I want to buy them when they're really cheap. So I go in there and buy them. Now, imagine that something comes up I didn't expect. Like, let's say the European financial meltdown with Greece and the bonds and all that. And suddenly these stocks, which I bought really cheap, just got cut in half and are twice as cheap as they were before. Now, as a Rule 1 investor, I should be really excited about that. This is awesome. I can go in there and I can buy more of them at a super cheap price. Yay, I'm glad they went down by 50%. But if I'm running a hedge fund and my investors don't understand that, and they say, wait a second, buddy, you paid $10 per share for this thing, and now it's selling for $5. You're a lunatic. You just lost half my money. I want my money back. And they take their money out of the fund right when I want to buy more of this. It's a disaster. So if I bought it for 10, now I got to sell it for 5, and I really do take a loss that I wouldn't have taken otherwise. I want to buy more at 5. And that's what happens if you don't have an emergency fund and all your money is tied up in investments. As sure as I'm sitting here telling you guys this stuff, whatever it is that's driving down those stocks is also probably what's creating the problem in your life that requires that you use your emergency fund. And if your emergency fund happens to be invested in Rule 1 companies, what are you going to do? You bought them for 10, they were on sale then, and now you're selling them for 5 to get the money to live on. Disaster! You don't want to have that happen. So emergency fund is really important to get first and stack that up so that then the money that you're putting out in Rule 1 investing is never going to be touched when the market's doing its thing. So if you like what I'm talking about, guys, subscribe to the channel for more content. I'm Phil Town. Time to go play.